he will move in with 72 teddies. I'm, of course, talking about plain old Andrew Mountbatten Windsor.
The pressure is crashing down on the Duke and Duchess of York, and the chaos exploding around them is wild to watch. 3 months. That's all Andrew Windsor has left before he has to box up that strange, oversized teddy bear stash he guards like treasure. It's time to kiss the Royal Lodge goodbye and step straight into one of the most embarrassing exiles the modern monarchy has ever seen. But here's the twist that shocked everyone. The one woman who stood beside him through every scandal, every mess, every headline soaked in shame has finally dipped out. Sarah Ferguson, Fergie, the so-called Duchess of Grift as people now whisper, has cut the cord after nearly 30 years living next to Andrew post-divorce. She stayed attached to him for decades, enjoying the perks, riding the royal wave, shaping a comfy lifestyle, playing the loyal ex-wife. Until now, until King Charles made one ruthless move that snapped their shaky partnership in half and left both of them furious, scrambling, and straight up panicking. What happened? What exactly did Charles do that destroyed the long-standing bond between Britain's most infamous divorced duo? And why are their daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, now angrier at their mother than at their own disgraced father? This isn't just a royal scandal. This is a full-scale demolition of everything Andrew and Fergie built together. This story is dripping with money, power, betrayal, and a king who finally said enough. Let's stop sugarcoating who Andrew Windsor really is. This man once walked around as the Duke of York, representing Britain as a trade envoy, strutting through elite halls with confidence that sometimes looked more like entitlement. Now he's just Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, stripped down, embarrassed, and turning into a walking warning for future generations. Don't become like this guy. How the mighty crumble doesn't even begin to capture it. The Sun, one of Britain's biggest papers, didn't hold back. They roasted him on the front page. Headline: 3 months to quit Lodge. Locals in Norfolk reportedly joked about him moving in with 72 teddy bears, saying, "We can't bear him either." It's cold, it's humiliating, and honestly, after everything tied to his name, it's the reality he walked into. But let's get into those teddy bears, because that detail says everything about where Andrew's head is at. 72 stuffed toys in a 30-room mansion. For a man in his 60s. One insider even joked he has more teddy bears than girlfriends, which sounds funny until you realise how ridiculous that truly is. These aren't toys. They're symbols of a grown man who never stepped out of his bubble, never took full responsibility, and lived so wrapped in privilege that real-world consequences bounced right off him. But that bubble has popped, and everyone can see it now. Royal Lodge in Windsor has been Andrew's hideout since 2004. It's where he fell back after stepping down from royal duties. It's where he kept out of sight, where he lined up every teddy bear in specific positions. Yes, staff confirmed they had to be arranged just so, and pretended life was still steady. That place was leased for 75 years. And guess how much rent he paid? £1, just £1, while millions in public money were being spent to fix the property and keep it running. Imagine paying £1 while regular British families were dealing with rising bills and a cost of living crunch. It sounds unreal, but that's exactly what he did. But King Charles is done playing games. Under his direct order, Andrew has until January's end to leave. No negotiating, no special treatment, no deals in the back room. Pack the teddy bears and get out. Those were the vibes. Then the Times dropped a brutal headline. Andrew quits fight after losing loyalty of ex-wife. That's where everything flips. Because Sarah Ferguson, Fergie herself, the woman who defended him at every turn, who lived with him nearly 3 decades after their marriage ended, and who enjoyed major perks from their setup, has officially bailed. Here's where the Fergie factor comes in. Sarah Ferguson has long been viewed as the original social climb strategist. She divorced Andrew in 1996, 28 years ago. And yet, she stayed living with him at Royal Lodge. Why? Because it worked for both of them. Andrew got company and someone to help manage his world. Fergie got doors opened for her, a comfortable life, and a chance to leverage her royal link for years on end. Let's be honest, Fergie has never been some clueless bystander. Sources say she only passed around 2 O-levels, but she's turned strategic charm into an empire of opportunities. Her skill is connecting with powerful circles and knowing exactly how to benefit from those networks. She stayed tight with major names like Kate Moss and Elton John. She kept the Duchess title shining. She wrote books, did speaking gigs, promoted brands, all while living rent-free in a Crown-owned mansion. She's been eating off the Royal Association for 3 decades, no question. And here's the part people didn't see coming. 4 years ago, she bought a luxury place in Mayfair. This week, news broke that she's selling the Mayfair property at a loss. And let's be real, you don't unload a high-value London house for less than it's worth unless things are seriously, seriously bad. You just don't. Mayfair doesn't operate like that. The market never fails, and that tells us exactly where Fergie stands financially right now. She's broke, flat out, not a single extra penny to her name. After decades of grifting, cashing in on royal connections, striking commercial deals, and maintaining an endless social calendar filled with influence and perks, she's still managed to end up in financial trouble. How do you pull that off? How do you have all the doors open, the palace perks, the global connections, the royalty-branded lifestyle, and still hit rock bottom? But here's the juicy part. Fergie has made a shocking choice. She's not moving with Andrew to Sandringham. According to The Times, the Duke and Duchess of York will finally live separate lives almost 30 years post-divorce. Ferguson isn't joining her ex-husband as he starts life in exile on the King's Sandringham estates. She's plotting her own move, a fresh start for herself, move on with her life. At 64, essentially broke, with her royal meal ticket evaporating right before her eyes, this screams desperation. This screams a woman realizing the gravy train has reached its last stop, and she's got to jump off before it derails completely. The Guardian reported Andrew is set to receive a 6-figure lump sum plus an annual stipend from King Charles, designed to prevent him from splurging recklessly as a suddenly common member of society. But here's the catch. The money is for Andrew only, not Fergie. Charles made that crystal clear. He'll look after his brother, but Sarah Ferguson is entirely on her own. And Fergie knows it. That's exactly why she walked away. That's why the tripod, the term the daughters used to describe their 3-way family bond, collapsed as soon as the money stopped. Loyalty dried up as fast as the cash flow. The fallout is crushing for the daughters. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie are caught in the chaos of their parents' spectacular implosion through no fault of their own. Royal insiders confirm the girls are furious. And here's the bombshell from Rebecca English, royal editor of the Daily Mail. The princesses are more disappointed in their mother than their father. Let that sink in. Their father, the one stripped of his titles, tainted by association with scandal, connected to one of the darkest public controversies of recent times, isn't the one they're most upset with. No, it's their mother. Why? Because the truth they've finally seen mirrors what the public has known for decades. Their mother is a grifter, a serial gold digger, someone who leveraged her royal association for personal gain over 3 decades. And now, when Andrew is in real need of support, she's abandoned him. The tripod, the 3-legged bond she had with her daughters and Andrew, has collapsed entirely. One leg gone, and the whole structure falls. Fergie removed herself, and now Beatrice and Eugenie are watching the family collapse like a house of cards. They're not that young anymore. Both are in their 30s, still styled as Her Royal Highness, still Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. But for how long? The monarchy is under growing pressure to slim down, modernize, and distance itself from scandal. And unfortunately, the sisters are collateral damage in the mess created by their parents. They haven't done anything wrong. They've built relatively scandal-free lives, married well, and started families. But the baggage follows them anyway. Every headline about Andrew's disgrace, every whisper about Fergie's money troubles reflects directly on them. Every decision King Charles makes about their father's fate affects their royal standing. And now they're watching their mother, the woman who taught them about loyalty, about standing by family, about holding on to those you love, prove that all those lessons were a facade. When the money dried up, when the luxury lifestyle became unsustainable, when Charles made it clear there would be no more handouts, Fergie revealed her true colours. She walked away, not because Andrew did anything unforgivable. He crossed lines years ago, yet she stuck around. Not because their relationship became intolerable, Divorced for 28 years, it was already rocky the whole time. She left because there was no money left for her, plain and simple. Now, King Charles III's role in all of this is crucial. He's been in an impossible position. Ascending to the throne at 73, after waiting longer than any heir in British history, he's facing a battlefield, cancer treatments in the family, pressure to modernise the monarchy, scandal, and personal betrayals. And right in the middle, his brother Andrew, accused of serious misconduct, having paid millions in settlements, tied to one of the most notorious criminals of our time, and still living in a crown property for just £1 a year. The public, Parliament, and even his family were all screaming for action. The Daily Mail reports that William and Catherine pushed hard for Andrew's removal. They insisted a clean break was the only path forward. This is leadership in action. Prince William and Princess Catherine made it abundantly clear they will not engage with Andrew, will not have him living next door, and will not participate in any arrangement at Royal Lodge that keeps him close. Think about that. The future of the monarchy drew a firm line in the sand. William and Catherine declared Andrew toxic and made it crystal clear they won't be associated with him. That decisive action is exactly the kind of leadership that inspires confidence. That's the kind of leadership that makes people think maybe King William should have been crowned sooner rather than later. But Charles, ever the cautious older brother, moved slowly, painfully slowly. Many would argue that he's been pushed into action, pushed by public opinion, pushed by his son, pushed by the unbearable weight of Andrew's toxicity that has haunted the family for decades. The settlement Charles has reached is revealing. Andrew must vacate Royal Lodge and relocate to a property on the Sandringham estate. He'll receive a 6-figure lump sum to cover relocation costs and an annual stipend, carefully drawn from Charles's private funds, not taxpayer money. And here's the crucial detail. This stipend is structured to make sure Andrew doesn't overspend or become a public burden. It might not seem like a harsh punishment on the surface. After all, Andrew will be spending his remaining years on Sandringham, cozying up by the fire, sipping brandy at 5 in the afternoon, living a life most can only dream of. The luxury remains, the privilege continues, even in exile. Yet here's the real win for Charles. He's removed Andrew from a crown property that drained public resources. He's separated the working royals from a scandal that could have continued to fester. He's made it clear Andrew's lifestyle is now funded privately, not publicly. And most importantly, Fergie, the grifter, the gold digger, the woman who milked her royal connection for decades, gets absolutely nothing. That last piece is key. Charles could have bowed to pressure from Beatrice and Eugenie to support their mother. He could have provided for both Andrew and Sarah. He chose not to. He drew the line firmly in the sand. He'll care for his brother, but everyone else is on their own, no exceptions. Let's talk about Andrew's Sandringham exile. Norfolk's 20,000-acre estate, one of the Queen's favourites, is where he'll live, tucked away from prying eyes. But the locals, they're not thrilled. "We don't want him here either," one resident told the press. "He is a horrible man." That sentiment is echoed across the community. Nowhere does Britain want Andrew Windsor. Not Windsor, not London, not Norfolk. He's become the nation's most unwanted man. In a stroke of cheeky journalism, the Daily Star parked a van outside Windsor Castle, offering to help Andrew move his bedload of teddy bears. It's funny, yes, but it also perfectly captures public sentiment. Andrew is a joke, an embarrassment, a cautionary tale about entitlement, privilege, and the consequences of a life lived without accountability. Sandringham itself is beautiful, yes. The estate offers space, privacy, and a touch of dignity. He'll be in a property funded privately by his brother, with a stipend that guarantees a comfortable life. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Is this really justice? Is this real accountability? The victims of Jeffrey Epstein, including Virginia Giuffre, certainly don't see it that way. They're demanding that Andrew testify in the United States, answer under oath about his relationship with Epstein, and finally take responsibility for his actions. Andrew has refused repeatedly. Remember that disastrous BBC interview? He claimed he couldn't sweat and was at Pizza Express in Woking during the time he's accused of assault. That backfired spectacularly. The fallout? An estimated £12 million out-of-court settlement to Virginia Giuffre, reportedly coming from the Queen's private funds. The money was meant to make the problem go away. Except it didn't. The scandal persists. festering, undermining the monarchy, and highlighting an institution that seems entitled and corrupt. And now Andrew gets to live out his days in cushioned exile, surrounded by comfort, his teddy bears, and a lifestyle funded privately. The public wanted more. They wanted real consequences, justice, and accountability. They wanted Andrew to suffer meaningful punishment for his behavior. Instead, he got a slight downgrade in accommodation, some embarrassing headlines, and the removal of his royal title. He's no longer Prince, he's just Andrew Windsor, as if a stripped title could erase decades of scandal or reshape who he is. And then there's Fergie. Her betrayal cuts deeper than anyone realizes. For 28 years, Sarah Ferguson stood by Andrew after their divorce. She defended him in public, lived with him at Royal Lodge, and maintained the facade of the devoted ex-wife, claiming they were closer after the divorce than during marriage. And people believed it. The press bought it. The public bought it. Probably even Fergie bought it herself. She convinced everyone it was about love, friendship, and family loyalty. She claimed she and Andrew were the happiest divorced couple in the world, complete with her signature laugh to seal the story. But it was all a lie. Always about money, always about access, always about sustaining a lifestyle she could never afford on her own. Here's the moment it all unraveled. When King Charles made it clear the gravy train was stopping, that there would be no more handouts, that Andrew's stipend was strictly for Andrew alone, Fergie's carefully maintained world collapsed. No more free rent, no more royal perks, no more steady stream of cash. That's when the loyalty disappeared. That's when she finally walked away. Fergie was gone. She announced she's making her own plans to move on with her life. After 28 years of playing the devoted ex-wife, she couldn't leave fast enough. Think about what that says about her character. Think about what it reveals about their entire relationship. It was transactional, always transactional. Every smile, every public appearance, every show of loyalty had a price tag attached. Fergie got royal status, access to the palace, a luxurious mansion, and the ability to market herself as the Duchess of York. In return, she provided Andrew with companionship, domestic management, and a polished facade of normalcy. But now that he's toxic, now that he's broke, now that hanging around him offers her no perks, she's out. The cruelty of this is staggering, the audacity, the complete self-interest. Whatever else you might say about Andrew Windsor, and there's plenty to say, he's facing the most humiliating chapter of his life. Titles stripped, home taken, reputation destroyed, legacy in tatters, potential legal peril looming in the United States, and the one person who's been by his side for 3 decades. She walked away the moment he needed her the most. Beatrice and Eugenie see it. They see their mother's true nature, crystal clear. Undeniably, they recognize that all those years of lofty talk about loyalty, family, and commitment were empty words, evaporating the instant the money disappeared. That's why they're more disappointed in their mother than their father, because Andrew's failings were predictable. His collapses, public embarrassments, and missteps were expected. But they thought their mother was different. They believed she genuinely cared for Andrew, for the family, for something beyond money and status. They were wrong. The financial reality is staggering. Let's talk numbers. Andrew paid £1 per year in rent for Royal Lodge. £1. Meanwhile, the property would command hundreds of thousands of pounds annually on the open market. The Crown Estate estimates the mansion's value at over £30 million. He had a 75-year lease, essentially guaranteeing lifetime occupancy for nearly nothing. On top of that, he spent millions of taxpayer money on renovations, refurbishments, and maintenance, while paying next to nothing in rent. And then there's Fergie's finances. She purchased a Mayfair property 4 years ago for a reported £5 million, and now she's selling it at a loss in one of the strongest real estate markets in the world. How is that even possible? How do you lose money on London real estate over 4 years unless you're in desperate financial straits? You can't. She's broke. Flat broke. All those years of commercial deals, book deals, speaking engagements, and trading on her royal connection have left her with nothing to show for it.
Andrew has got a cast iron lease on Royal Lodge, and therefore, well, you've got to offer me something, otherwise I'll just...
Now, let's discuss King Charles's settlement. Andrew will receive a 6-figure sum, estimated between £250,000 and £500,000, to relocate from Royal Lodge to Sandringham. On top of that, he'll receive an annual stipend, reported by The Guardian as significant, probably around £200,000 per year. That money comes directly from Charles's private funds, generated by the Duchy of Cornwall and other private holdings, not from taxpayers. And here's the kicker. The stipend is specifically structured to prevent Andrew from overspending. It's a controlled allowance, like what you might give a grown child who can't manage money responsibly. It's humiliating, emasculating, and reduces a 63-year-old man to the status of a dependent. Fergie gets nothing, not a penny. Charles made it abundantly clear. He'll support his brother, but he won't bankroll an ex-wife who's been grifting off royal connections for 3 decades. That's why Fergie left.
And 97% of those 931 are still operating today, and they're still growing.
That's why she made her own plans to move on with her life, because there's no money in staying, no financial incentive to continue the charade, no royal lifestyle to uphold. The media circus has had an absolute field day with this story, and rightly so. This is the kind of scandal that sells newspapers, generates clicks, and dominates headlines. This is royal drama at its finest, or worst, depending on your perspective. The Sun newspaper nailed it. We can't bear him either. The headline is cheeky, references the teddy bears, and perfectly captures public sentiment. Nobody wants Andrew Windsor, not in Windsor, not in Norfolk, not anywhere in Britain. The Daily Star went further with their man with a van stunt, offering to help Andrew move his teddy bear collection. Pure performance art. Genius. They made Andrew look ridiculous while making a serious point. This is a man being treated far too leniently for someone accused of such serious crimes. Meanwhile, the Times focused on Fergie. Andrew quit fights after losing the loyalty of his ex-wife. And that's where the story takes a dramatic turn. For 28 years, Fergie stood by Andrew post-divorce, defended him publicly, maintained the image of the loyal ex, and convinced everyone, including the press and the public, that it was all about love, friendship, and family commitment. She claimed she and Andrew were closer than they'd ever been during marriage, and people bought it, somehow. Fergie even convinced herself. But here's the truth. It was always about money, always about access, always about sustaining a lifestyle she couldn't afford on her own. And now, when King Charles made it clear that the gravy train was stopping, that there would be no more handouts, that Andrew's stipend was strictly for Andrew alone, Fergie's world crumbled. The loyalty vanished. The mask slipped. The illusion was over. And that's the reality. The Times' focus was precise. Andrew quit fights after losing the loyalty of his ex-wife. That's the real story, isn't it? Not that King Charles is kicking Andrew out. That was expected eventually. No, the true story is far more scandalous. The one person who stood by him for 28 years has abandoned him. The Daily Mail, with its unrivaled royal coverage, has provided multiple angles on this epic implosion. William and Kate even pushed for Andrew to be ousted, drawing a hard line and making their stance crystal clear. How will Andrew cope with the bleak reality of life in exile? And Fergie's daughters? They're more upset with her than ever. Reporters are covering every angle, speaking to every source, piecing together a full picture of this family's spectacular dysfunction. And then there's The Guardian, zeroing in on the financial settlement. Andrew is set to receive a 6-figure sum and an annual stipend from King Charles. This is critical because it highlights what many see as the fundamental injustice of the situation. Andrew faces almost no real consequences. He loses some prestige. He has to move houses, but he's still being funded by his brother, living a comfortable, well-supported life. Is that accountability? Is that justice? The media has relentlessly dissected every angle, and they should. This is a story about privilege, entitlement, and powerful people skirting true consequences. And we can't ignore the elephant in the room. The United States wants Andrew to testify about Jeffrey Epstein. The US Oversight Committee is scrutinizing the Epstein case, demanding answers. Who knew what, when, and what did they do? Andrew Windsor is front and center in this investigation. There are photographs of Andrew with Epstein, flight logs showing he traveled on Epstein's private jet, witnesses placing him at Epstein's properties, and then there's Virginia Giuffre, who accused Andrew of assault when she was 17. Andrew has consistently denied these allegations. Remember that catastrophic BBC interview? He claimed he couldn't sweat due to a medical condition and insisted he was at Pizza Express in Woking during the alleged assault. The fallout from that interview was devastating. He was stripped of royal duties rather than face further scrutiny. And then came the estimated £12 million out-of-court settlement to Virginia Giuffre, reportedly from the Queen's private funds. He admitted no wrongdoing, but the money was meant to make the case disappear. Except it didn't. The scandal remains, undermining public trust and the monarchy itself. Giuffre, her family, and her legal team are pushing for Andrew to testify in the US. They may feel vindicated that he's lost his titles, but they want more. They want answers under oath. They want him to explain, in full detail, his relationship with Epstein. And this is where it gets politically tangled. Peter Mandelson, Britain's newly appointed ambassador to the United States, also had ties to Epstein. Photographs show them together. Questions linger about Mandelson's involvement, never fully answered. He pushed for Andrew to become a British trade envoy despite doubts about Andrew's integrity, raising diplomatic concerns. Now you have the British ambassador, connected to Epstein, facing US scrutiny over a royal family member, a true diplomatic nightmare. So far, Andrew has refused to cooperate with US authorities. He remains in the UK, legally shielded from being compelled to testify in American courts. Sandringham doesn't change that. He's safe physically, yes, but the pressure doesn't stop. The questions won't vanish. Every day, Andrew refuses to cooperate. He looks more guilty in the court of public opinion. And then there's the wider impact. This scandal reignites serious questions about the monarchy's future. Should it continue, reform, or be abolished entirely? Republican voices are circling like sharks, sensing blood in the water. Left-leaning magazines like The New Statesman are arguing that this scandal proves the monarchy is irredeemably corrupt and should end. But public opinion tells a different story. Despite Andrew's scandal, Harry and Meghan's departure, and years of drama, the majority of Britons still support the monarchy. Reform, yes. Modernisation, absolutely. But abolition, not so much. People want a monarchy that evolves without disappearing. This is where William and Catherine become crucial. They embody the monarchy's future, modernisation without revolution, a clean break from past scandals while still preserving traditions the public values. William made it crystal clear he would not tolerate Andrew living next to him at Royal Lodge. That is leadership. That is understanding that the monarchy's survival depends on public trust. And trust cannot exist while sheltering someone accused of assault. Catherine has been equally remarkable. Despite her own health challenges, she has maintained grace, dignity, and poise. She exemplifies what modern royalty should look like: accessible, relatable, yet still mysterious and majestic. She strikes the balance between tradition and modernity, reminding the public why the monarchy remains relevant. And amid all this, there's a growing whisper: should King Charles consider abdication? Some argue that the scandal's magnitude, combined with his own age and the pressure to modernise, might make passing the crown to William a necessary step for the monarchy's survival. This story isn't just about Andrew or Fergie. It's about accountability, privilege, loyalty, and betrayal. It's about a royal family grappling with centuries-old traditions in a modern, unforgiving world. And at the centre of it all, Andrew faces his reckoning. Not entirely in law, but in public opinion, in media headlines, and in the eyes of the family he once relied on. Not immediately, but soon. King Charles is 75 years old, battling cancer and facing family drama that would overwhelm someone half his age. The question burning on everyone's lips: would it be better for the monarchy if he stepped aside and let William take over? William as king would represent a fresh start, a clean slate. He'd bring energy, modern thinking, and a vision for a slimmed-down, more efficient and accountable monarchy. He'd also have Catherine beside him, possibly the most popular royal family member of her generation, admired for her poise, relatability, and strength. The real question is, does Charles have the humility to recognise this? Will he put the institution before his ego and consider stepping aside, or will he cling to the crown he waited 73 years to wear? So, what does all of this mean? Where does this leave us after the spectacular implosion of Andrew Windsor and Sarah Ferguson? What lessons have we learned? First, privilege doesn't protect you forever. Eventually, the bill comes due. Andrew spent decades living off taxpayers while contributing almost nothing. He behaved poorly, associated with criminals, and brought shame upon his family. And now, finally, there are consequences. But are those consequences sufficient? Absolutely not. Andrew should be testifying in the United States. He should be answering questions under oath. He should be held accountable for his connection to Jeffrey Epstein and the serious allegations against him. Instead, he gets to live on the Sandringham estate with a comfortable stipend. He'll see out his years in relative comfort, funded privately by his brother, protected from real accountability. It's not justice, it's barely punishment, a gentle downgrade wrapped in PR spin. And yet, there's more to this story. We've also learned hard truths about loyalty and character. Sarah Ferguson, despite all her talk about family, devotion and commitment, was always just a grifter. 28 years of playing the devoted ex-wife, and she walked away the moment the money dried up. Her daughters see it now. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie have finally recognized what everyone else has known for decades. Their mother is not who she claimed to be. She isn't the loyal friend standing by her ex-husband through hard times. She's a gold digger who stuck around as long as it was profitable and left the second it wasn't. That betrayal cuts deeper than any headline. It's destroyed whatever remained of the tripod. The bond between Sarah, Beatrice, and Eugenie. You can strip away titles, force someone to move houses, reduce their income, but destroying a mother-daughter relationship, that's lasting, irreparable damage. That's the real tragedy here. And finally, the monarchy itself is at a crossroads. King Charles is attempting to modernize the institution while contending with scandals that would have been unthinkable in his mother's day. He's making tough, unprecedented decisions, removing Andrew from Royal Lodge, cutting off Fergie, and distancing the family from toxic influence. But is he moving fast enough, decisive enough? Or, as some commentators argue, is he being nudged into action by public pressure and by William and Catherine's unwavering stance? The future of the monarchy now likely rests on William and Catherine. They represent a clean break from the past, modernization and accountability, and what the monarchy could be if it's willing to embrace change. But they also represent a challenge to Charles. Step aside and let the next generation take over, or cling to power and risk the institution's survival. The choices he makes now will determine not just the legacy of his reign, but the very credibility of the British monarchy in the 21st century. Andrew Windsor and Sarah Ferguson are furious. Andrew is livid about being forced out of Royal Lodge, stripped of his titles, reduced to just Andrew with a controlled allowance from his brother. Fergie is furious the money has dried up, that her decades-long grift has finally ended, that she's facing financial reality for the first time in her adult life. But here's the brutal truth. Nobody cares about their fury. Nobody sympathizes. They had every advantage, every privilege, every opportunity, and they squandered it. They misbehaved, spent recklessly, and now they're paying the price. The only real tragedy in this story, Beatrice and Eugenie caught in the crossfire of their parents' dysfunction. They've done nothing wrong, yet they carry the burden of a family name tainted by scandal. They've watched their father disgraced and their mother exposed as a grifter, all while maintaining their own dignity and grace. King Charles has made his decision. Andrew is out. Fergie is out. The Royal Lodge chapter is officially closed. Andrew will live in Sandringham exile, surrounded by his teddy bears, his regrets, and his stipend. It's not the ending anyone wanted. It's not justice, but it's what we've got. A gentle punishment for someone who deserves far worse, wrapped in the pageantry and protocol of an institution struggling to survive in a modern world. The question now is, what comes next? Will William become king sooner than expected? Will the monarchy continue its slow evolution? Or will this scandal accelerate real reform? Only time will tell. One thing is certain. Andrew and Fergie's furious reactions to their fall from grace won't change anything. The die is cast. Britain's most notorious divorced couple will face the future separately, no longer united by their toxic bond of mutual advantage. 3 months to pack up 72 teddy bears and leave after decades of privilege. That's all the time Andrew has left before everything changes forever. And Fergie? She's already gone, moving on to her next opportunity, her next target, her next attempt to maintain a lifestyle she can no longer afford. Because that's what grifters do. They move on when one source dries up and find another. The Royal Lodge will soon be empty, the teddy bears packed. A new chapter begins for the British monarchy, one that we hope will be free from the dysfunction, scandal, and entitled behaviour that defined the Andrew and Fergie era. If you enjoyed this deep dive into royal drama, Don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this video, like, and subscribe for more exclusive updates, gossip, and inside stories from the world of the royals.